Well, time now for the interview you have been waiting for. Governor Anne Waiguru has lately been in the news headlines for varied reasons that range from her defense of the Kirinyaga gubernatorial seat in 2022, her on and off, sometimes hot and cold weather signals on some leading presidential contenders. Now, against the backdrop of simmering rivalries and bubbling county politics, Kirinyaga County is on the eve of hosting the national celebrations of Mashujaa Day. Now, we are live from Kirinyaga this evening to speak with the governor on Mashujaa Day, her political dilemma, and so much more on the program. Governor Anne Waiguru, thank you so much for patiently waiting for us for this interview, and we'll get straight into it right now. I know you have a busy day tomorrow. I want to begin by asking you...
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you. You're the governor of Kirinyaga County and therefore the host of tomorrow's Mashujaa Day. Do you mind telling us what your role is in tomorrow's function?
Thank you, Ahiga. My role basically in hosting, it's on several fronts. One is on infrastructural support. The national government built the stadium, but there are certain things that we were supposed to do. For example, the parking outside the stadium is being done by the county. We've also done other projects that have improved the face of the county. If you go to Kirinyaga, we had started long ago working on our cabros, and we're doing the same in Waiguru. We are also supporting in the provision of water points, ensuring that we have holding rooms, furnishing them. So we have varied things, ensuring the environment is appropriate. We have carried out a mass vaccination of our constituents, and also prepared our health centers in the event that we have challenges thereafter, by ensuring that we have adequate medication, we have trained our personnel.
Governor,
and
it's
I've just come from hosting a dinner.
Yes, Governor, it's very interesting that you say that, because you recently stated that you had been, in a sense, sidelined from the preparations for Mashujaa Day. So it's interesting that you're listing all those.
Those were not my words. Why?
Those were, Governor, you did, okay.
The media used the word. I did not use the word sidelined. I said I am not responsible for the people coming into the stadium. That is the responsibility of the national government.
Governor,
that is what I said.
It sounds like that's a completely different statement from... That sounds like...
I think we need to be very clear what I said and what I did not say. I said I am not responsible for those people coming into the stadium. The invitations have been done by the national government, and I only got about 150 cards. The other 100 cards were for the executive. So in total 250, and out of that 250, it included county assembly members, the executive, the directors, the CECs from the county government, and everybody who's played a role in the county government. So let's be careful not to twist my words. Okay, Governor, I'll pull up your exact statement shortly, but in what context was this, were you speaking these words, and if it was not a complaint? Because for all intents and purposes, it sounded that you were uncomfortable with certain aspects of how the organization for tomorrow was going to be. You were not satisfied, for example, with the guest invitation process. So if you were not unhappy, under what context were you then issuing the statement that you did? I wasn't issuing a statement. I was responding to a question that was at an interview. And I said, it makes me uncomfortable. If you're a host governor, and in a county like ours, which can be quite political, and you are not in control of the audience that you'll be having in the stadium, as a politician, you would be uncomfortable. But, okay. So it's not a complaint, it's a statement. What was the intent of the statement? Every politician, every statement they make, there's an intention. I'm done with the response of that question. Why Higa? Okay. Are you comfortable now with tomorrow? What can Kenyans expect when all focus turns to Kirinyaga tomorrow morning? Let me say that we are prepared to host Mashujaa Day. And as a county government, we've put our hearts and our hands as best as we can, and we've collaborated as much as we can. And we've prepared. The mood in the county I've been around is pretty good. People are upbeat about the day, and we hope that it goes smoothly.
Well, speaking of hoping that it goes smoothly, preceding this event, Kirinyaga County has been in the headlines. I mentioned this as I was introducing this interview. We've seen heated local politics, turbulence in the county government, and so forth. Basically, a heavy political backdrop, Governor, and I know you're aware of this. Has this in any way impacted Mashujaa Day preparations?
I think sometimes it's important that we're not very historical. I don't know what you're talking about, the tensions in the county government. The normal politics in Kirinyaga County are not unique to us. I think in every county, when you have an election year, you will have competitors who will say one thing or other because they are competing for various positions. And so that is not unusual in the county. Statements by different political actors are normal. And I think that doesn't affect at all the work that we're doing. We are prepared to host Mashujaa Day. We've all agreed as leaders in Kirinyaga County that we have put aside local politics and we host the guests who are coming in the best way that we can, and we'll pick local politics thereafter and the campaigns thereafter.
Okay, does that agreement also have anything to do with the president's statement yesterday? Because I know I was expecting that you were to host the president for dinner earlier this evening. And yesterday he called on Kirinyaga leaders, led by you, to unite. Was that part of the discussion in the dinner this evening?
I don't know where you get your news, Waiguru. We had a dinner. I've just come from the dinner this evening, but the dinner was for Mashujaa, and it's a local dinner. It was not a presidential dinner. The issue of us putting our politics aside, that we had already agreed long before His Excellency the President came to Kirinyaga. So his was an emphasis of an expectation that which we already agreed as leaders in Kirinyaga. As you know, we were all in State Lodge in Nyeri, and in Nyeri what we did is we presented a memorandum to His Excellency. We were there, all the elected leaders, the county assembly, the members of parliament, the senator, myself, deputy governor, and we also, the technocrats who are senior in the national government were also represented, and we put forth a memorandum of our requests to His Excellency the President from a united front. So I think the other question is really not valid.
Okay, we switching gears. Tomorrow is the last Mashujaa Day that His Excellency the President will address in his second term. What are you expecting to hear from him as the governor of that county?
First of all, let me say it's a great honor for His Excellency the President to be in Kirinyaga and to choose Kirinyaga as where he goes for his last Mashujaa. We will be expecting, first of all, a major statement on the state of the economy. I'm sure he will talk about where he is at in terms of implementing his Big Four agenda and consolidating his legacy. We expect that. And possibly he might touch on politics and maybe give a signal of the direction which he expects either the country or maybe the region to take, but that you can't tell for sure. There's also been a whole lot of conversation nationally on the matters to do with the curfew. So who knows? He might actually also seek to address that. That's really my expectation. I hope that whatever the situation, we will come out clearer on many things and actually also consolidate, especially the fact that he has delivered to this region quite a bit in terms of development. I expect that to also take a huge portion of his speech.
Let's talk a little bit about that development, even as we await, whatever he'll say tomorrow. The infrastructure development, to be specific, tell me a little bit about the impact of the roads and the stadium, which you've said, was not there before the announcement of Mashujaa Day to be hosted in Kirinyaga. What difference does this infrastructure make?
Let me say that the stadium had started being constructed, but of course the pace wouldn't have been this fast if there was no Mashujaa Day. It's been completed in record time. It's been expanded, and I think that's one of our major gains for hosting Mashujaa Day, and we're exceedingly grateful. We've also had other support from the national government. The last time His Excellency was in Kirinyaga, especially in the same Moya Stadium, he promised that he would do for us some roads, especially in the Moya town, because he had gone round and it was quite a challenge because it was marrammed, and I requested him to help us with tarmac, and he has done that. They are complete, over 30 kilometers of tarmac within Waiguru town. And that has uplifted the standards of our people, and including also improving the business environment. We also have infrastructural development that is going on around the national government, county commissioner's office, the residences, some walkways in Kirogoya. Our stormwater project that had been very slow has been accelerated as well. And those initiatives, including the roads that hadn't been completed, have been fast-tracked. So we have benefited. Street lighting that had gone off back on, and we are hoping that it stays like that. But generally, we have benefited in the improvement in the urban centers, especially in Kirinyaga. The mood is very, very good, because they can see there's a difference, and they're anticipating that this Mashujaa will also go as well as the infrastructural projects have gone.
Before we switch gears, because I do need to talk a bit of politics with you, maintaining what has been set up, what's the plan for that? It's one thing to have all these great projects set up with a deadline in mind, but what's the plan to maintain them?
I think in terms of maintenance from the county side, that's which we are responsible for, and we usually collaborate with the national government on that. There are roads that are managed by the national government institutions, and then there are roads that are managed by the county government, and the framework is pretty clear in the intergovernmental relations, and we expect to maintain that. When it comes to the stadium, the county government will do its part in managing the maintenance of the stadium, the cleaning, because we'll be the ones mostly using it, and ensuring that it's completely furnished and resourced and provided for with all the necessary facilities, including water and electricity. So once they hand over the stadium to us, the county then will take over and will continue ensuring that it is managed as it should be.
Okay, Governor, and I'll come back to Kirinyaga matters shortly with you, but I also want to understand a little bit about what's been happening on the political front, Governor. In recent weeks, an observer would say that you've been sending mixed signals on what your political future looks like. I want to give you a chance this evening. The whole nation is watching. There's a holiday tomorrow, so they're relaxed. Politically, where do you stand tonight, Governor?
I said, Waiguru, that in a situation where I'm introspecting, and I did not give a duration. And in the introspection, what you do a lot is listen. And I've gone around and listened to people. I think you've seen that clip of me being out there impromptu, responding to the people and asking them what it is that they're saying and what they think should be the vehicle that I come with, and they were very clear. I continue to listen, and in due course, I will make a very loud statement of exactly where I am. The political scenario in Mount Kenya at this point in time is that there's significant support for the UDA party, for example, and other parties. We have very many small parties in Mount Kenya, but we also have the Jubilee party, which many of us have been and were elected on, and which is in the process, I believe, of being revamped. So we are waiting to see how all these dynamics play out. But soon and very soon, for some of us, we will have to make a stand of which direction we are in, and when we do, we will make it very clear.
Any ideas on when that might be? I think your supporters might be a bit anxious to know. Can you give a timeline
well,
also?
my supporters are not really anxious. I think the thing that they wanted to know is whether I'm going to run again. That is one of the things that I have made up my mind that I would like to pursue second term of the governorship. And because of that decision, then there are certain dynamics that come into play, because you know how Central Kenya politics are. Mostly we move in one direction. If for any reason this time we go in different directions, will be possibly the first time that we have different directions. But usually we would go in one direction. And it's determined not too far from the election date. It's still pretty early, and we say in politics, a day in politics is a very long time. When you're listening, you consult. You don't rush to make these decisions, because they are not short-term decisions. They are long-term decisions. You have to make sure that whatever decision you have made, everyone who ought to be consulted has been consulted, so that no one says they've been left behind. Because election is about numbers. And if you're going to run, you want to ensure that you have as many people with you as possible, so that you can ensure that you have a win. But if you rush to make decisions that are not properly thought through and you're not able to defend them, then that can affect your political future. And so that's why I said we're listening, we continue to listen. We are practical. I am looking very clearly at what exactly is on the ground. And as soon as I feel that it's the right time and it's ready, I'm ready, I will make an announcement of where to go, because I don't want to make that announcement that I'm going this way and then change my mind a couple of months down the road and say, no, I think I should go on the other side. Unfortunately, in the game of politics, whilst you're in a decision-making process, others are quickly forging on with their parties. Do you not stand the chance of losing ground the longer you delay in that decision-making process? I don't think so. I think what I have done is consolidated my support. So I think what they really want to know is how easy or how difficult it would be to not only run, but also to govern thereafter. Because the decision is not just about winning. Barely hitting the 50+1 or getting the majority of the vote to be governor is not as difficult. I think what is more difficult would be to govern thereafter. And you have seen in history that we have had a situation already in this county where we have been in different side with the executive and the county assembly. And I would not want to be in that situation in my second term. So one of the things that I'm doing is listening very keenly to ensure that we are completely aligned, so that we have a smooth running in the next government. Now, what happens is that whichever party you go to, there will be a challenge, because there has to be runoffs unless you go to a small party. And if you go to a small party, because it's not popular, you'd have to spend a lot more energy and time marketing that party. And that may bring challenges in terms of the elections, and you may even lose your electorate because of the challenges of voting. So, yes, it's critical, time is critical, but it's still pretty early.
Governor,
pretty early. February is the time when people declare completely. But between now and then, we will definitely have made a decision. Okay, at least now it sounds like we have a sort of rough date in mind. Before we switch gears, Governor, what has been your biggest grievance with the Jubilee Party? Because it sounds highly unlikely that you would vie with Jubilee again. What do you think has been the biggest grievance for you with the party? I think my biggest grievance is that we said for a very long time that people on the ground are losing touch with the party. And what happened is that every time there was an issue, people started saying, no, we need to have some sort of pulling together and ensuring that people feel that they still belong. But for the longest time, well, we've been saying that in the last about a year and a half, nothing was happening. And so what happened is that our ground, especially in central Kenya, people started gravitating away from it. And you see, when people have emotional no emotional connection, or they feel that they've lost their emotional connection. It's very difficult. You spend a lot more energy and resources to get them back there. So that really was my issue with the Jubilee Party, because when we had a huge number of people leaving who were already elected, it says something on the ground, and it has an effect on the ground. Now, in politics, that is a very big thing. You can dismiss it, and despite your popularity, despite having worked very hard and delivered, you can lose your seat. And we don't run for the sake of running. I've had somebody saying, then don't you have a principle? I said, there's no difference in the parties that we have right now. All our parties have similar ideologies. We don't have like social democrats and these ones are liberals and the others are pure Democrats. We don't have that. All our parties are very similar. What is different is whether they are the vehicle of the day. That's how our politics have been. And if you happen to enter the wrong vehicle, even if you're a right candidate, you can lose. And sometimes you have even seen in Kenya, you will have a very good candidate, but they go to a party that's not popular, and they actually lose ground because people say, I have lost my connection with that party and therefore I won't vote for it. So that was really my grievance. And being a governor, let me say something else, Wahiga. It's extremely expensive to run for office, extremely. And if now you choose a party that's difficult to sell, unless somebody else is financing you, you'd spend more than 2 times, 3 times more than the money that you would have spent in running. And then you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Which is the easiest way if you want to serve the people of Kirinyaga and get into office and ensure that you're actually delivering? Which is the easiest way to do that? Because that's what motivates you. You want to serve, yes. You want to be governor. And how do you get there? In the easiest way, and also ensure that it's sustainable. Those are the questions that determine which party then you choose.
Okay, Governor, thanks so much for that. Now, we've gotten some feedback. We're getting lots of messages actually from our viewers this evening. Some of them on Kirinyaga County development ongoing projects, and I'll ask that towards the end, but others of a more national nature. Let's put up the first tweet. This is what Kenyans are asking this evening. #Newsnight, SMS line 22422. Engineer Lazaro Kanyambok says, politics is all about personal interests. Honorable Waiguru could be looking for an exit strategy from the presidential wing of the coalition in order to escape stiff nomination challenge from PS Kibisho. Okay, I don't know why they've picked on PS Kibisho there. I'll get a response from you, Governor, on that. Fab Mikel says, kindly ask the Governor what she thinks about the fight against corruption in Uhuru's government. Is it witch hunting or genuine cause? Okay. What else do we have? Frederick Okanga says, political reality is that Anne Waiguru is damned if she joins UDA, damned if she doesn't. She has demonstrated political instability, risks being a one-term governor. Her opponents are capitalizing on this. Okay, Governor, I want to get your response on that. Jacob Morris says, tell Anne Waiguru that it's upon a leader to give direction to his or her people, not being led by the emotional crowds. If Mandela listened to his people, then South Africa and Madiba wouldn't be as we know them this evening. And one SMS here, Governor, no name, but they ask, will the Governor follow President Uhuru Kenyatta's directive no matter which way it leads? I don't know where we start. Maybe we start with that last one. You've previously said you're waiting, the region is waiting for the President's directive. Will you follow it at all costs?
Let me say this, that the President is unlikely to give a directive that is completely out there that you must. He's a politician. He's an astute politician. He knows at the end of the day that people have to make their decisions and determine their own political destiny. And I think him being a Democrat and a politician, he respects that. And so whatever decision he makes, I will consider it. And then I will weigh it and will make a decision that I think will be, again, in the best interest of where it is that I am going. So I wouldn't say that there will be a directive. I do not believe that he will give anyone a directive and say you should go this way or go that way. I don't think so.
Okay, you don't believe that's what would happen. Another viewer saying, shouldn't you be the one giving the people direction, Mandela style? Isn't that how politics should be, progressive politics should be practiced?
Let me tell you something, Waihiga. I think people imagine that when people are electing you, you're the one telling them to elect you. No, it's people who actually decide whether they want you or not. The decision is really not ours. You can want to be elected. If it was us saying that I think you people should elect me, and then they follow, we wouldn't even be campaigning. For what? What happens is that people actually are the ones who tell us that we have looked at you and we think that you're suitable and therefore you stand. And they say that in different ways. They can tell you one-on-one, they can send messages, you can appear somewhere and you see their reaction. That's what happens. The second thing is that they tell you what they want you to do for them. And if you come and say, I know that you think that the economy is a priority, but I don't think it's a priority as a leader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the economy and then I will substitute it maybe with something else, like bursaries or something. They will determine that since you did not listen to what their priorities are, and since you will not meet their priorities, they will not elect you. So I think people say that leaders tell the people. We don't tell the people. You determine whether you're capable of providing the services that the people think that they need. And in doing that, you have to listen to what it is that they want. That's why we have something even in the Constitution called public participation. And in that public participation, you're supposed to be listening to them so that you craft your policies and your laws to suit people. So leaders do not dictate to people. We are actually ideally supposed to be servants of the people.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, but sometimes politics can go a different route. In one of the questions there, someone has brought up the name of P.S. Karanja Kibisho. And if I can ask you this, because when politics of Kirinyaga are spoken, 3 names come to mind. Your name, Governor, the name of the PS, Karanja Kibisho, and the name of the woman rep, Purity Girishi, with 2022 in mind. This evening, and you talked about local politics aside, what's your relationship with those individuals that I've mentioned?
Our relationships are professional. Everybody has their positions in office, either elected or appointed, and we are cordial, and we work together when we have to.
Is that what we can expect to see tomorrow? Cordial handshakes and so forth as the county hosts this national celebration?
Oh, we actually we work together. You know, in politics, I think sometimes people mix the two. When it comes to work, there's a role that can only be done by the governor, and there's a role that can only be done by the PS because of the virtue of his office. I cannot do his work and he cannot do mine. So when we need to pull together in a situation like this, everybody knows what is their expectations, what is expected of them, and we do it, and we work together as a team. As I said, we just presented a memorandum as Kirinyaga leaders, and we all came together from different walks of life, including religious leaders and business people, and said, this is what we want the president to do for us. Now, when it comes to politics and competition, that is democracy. The only thing that we expect is that people would be civil in the democratic competition for office. But to say that then, therefore, we will not consult or will not work together, that we do, and we do pretty often.
Now, it's one thing to talk about politics, but have you felt in your term as governor that there's a ploy or plot anywhere to ensure that you retire as a first-time governor? Is that something you'd say you felt in this journey?
Yes, many times, actually. My impeachment was one such attempt. Before that, there was a sabotage of the hospital. So sometimes certain individuals will use certain methods to ensure that they reduce your chances of coming back. So yes, that would happen. Now, would I sit back and then either feel sorry for myself or say whatever? No, everywhere, right now, when I speak, wherever there's political competition, depending on the personalities of the individuals, they employ certain things. And we expect that you will compete every 5 years for your seat. I don't think anybody would be guaranteed run, even the president had to campaign for his second term, saying what he did for the first term and therefore why he needs a second term. So I think if you have political competition, you should expect people trying to make sure that you're a first-term governor. And then on my part is to do everything that I can possibly to ensure that I actually win a second term. And that's, as I said earlier, democracy.
Governor, looking forward, the country goes to a general election next year. Right now we're looking at presidential aspirants. We have seen you engaged in one level or the other with some of the presidential aspirants, specifically Deputy President William Ruto, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga as well. Maybe you could also shed light this evening on whose political philosophy you best align with, of these two individuals.
That's an interesting question. As I said, I do not believe that in this country our political ideologies are very different. If you look at what everybody's selling right now for 2022, the message is basically the same. It's about the economy, it's about the mwananchi and ensuring that they are uplifted. Now, what you will find different is maybe the figures that are proposed. And so, or the approach, the mode of approach. We haven't gotten to a place where our political parties are different, and therefore I would not necessarily want to mention one or either. But when the time comes and I choose the direction that I am taking, I will make it clear why I have decided to align to that particular direction.
I mean, that's surprising you say that, Governor, because it almost sounds like you're saying a Raila Odinga government or a William Ruto government might not be too different in terms of the promises made to the people, and yet both of them believe they are very different from each other. That's not how you see it. Well,
as I said, in terms of ideology, you know, the things that you say that are make or break, I don't see a very huge ideological difference. I don't. In terms of who is popular enough to, for example, get to office because of maybe either the way they have communicated their messaging or what our community, because of whatever situation finds themselves in. I think that's a different story. And I know that you had asked previously the question of which direction I am going, and I know that if I answer this question, then I'll have answered the question I told you that I will give in good time. So in another 1 month or so, you will be clear on which side I am leaning.
Okay, now we are doing even better. First you said February, now you've told us 1 month. I think that provides better clarity. As we wrap this up, you've done nearly 5 years as governor. It's been a mixed assignment, successes and challenges as well. How would you like your first term to be remembered by the people of Kirinyaga?
I think I would want them to remember that I have worked, and I've worked really hard to ensure that I have changed not just the face of Kirinyaga, but also the lives of people in Kirinyaga. When I came in, our towns looked very different. If you come around, especially during this Mashujaa time, you will see that we've pretty modernized. We have built our town's cab rows in parking areas, decent parking areas, which currently are being used both by our vehicles and in some areas, extension of our markets. I have done 15 markets in those 4 years. I have upgraded our level 4 hospital to a level 5 hospital, ultra-modern facility that rivals the private hospitals that we have in Nairobi. In the first year, I upgraded several level 3 hospitals by ensuring that they have wards. In Baricho, we did a male ward. In Kirinyaga, we did a maternity. Kimbimbi, we did a women's ward. In South Gariama, we did a maternity. And in Sagana, we did an X-ray center. And we have built 19 health centers and also moved on to build ECD centers.
Okay.
And polytechnics, about 13 of them. So we've done quite a bit.
So you peg it as an infrastructure legacy in a nutshell?
I think I lost him.
Can you hear me, Governor? Okay, we seem to have a challenge with her sound. I had some of your feedback as we wrap this up. Let's take that short break. We come back, read your tweets, and wrap it up with the governor of Kirinyaga County, Anne Waiguru, host of Mashujaa Day, one that I know you'll be keenly watching, not just for the celebration of heroes, but possibly also to get a glimpse of some of the local politics that has been the talk for the last couple of weeks. You're watching Newsnight. Stay with us. We wrap up on the other side. Welcome back to the program. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Newsnight, and we now seem to have the governor back online to field one or two more of your questions before we wrap this up. Tomorrow is Mashujaa Day. She's the host, and we understand she needs to be up bright and early. This is what you are saying right now as Kenyans. Marco Kimani asked this on Twitter. Would Anne Waiguru consider running or being running mate of either Raila or Ruto in 2022 if approached by one of them? Let's get an immediate response from the governor. Is that an option? Is that a possibility, Governor?
I think so. If I was approached, I mean, it would be a great honor, but we would cross the bridge if we got there. Is that
what you would like?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's a huge responsibility, and it comes with its own challenges. And I would weigh the decision and then make a final determination. It's not as easy as that, as just saying, yes, I would be, or no. There are very many other factors that you would have to consider. Support from various angles to make sure that you succeed. And yeah.
Do you believe?
Demands of especially the...
Sorry, finish it. I was asking...
And the demands of the campaign as well as the office.
There's been talk about...
You want to know that you have certain...
Sorry, we seem to have missed each other. There's been talk about the next deputy president of the Republic of Kenya being a woman. Do you believe that 2022 is that time? Is that what you believe?
Yes, I do, and I think we owe it to this country that to ensure that we do that. It will be one glass ceiling broken, and hopes for many young girls in this country, and also pushing us more towards gender equality. There's a huge disparity at this point in time, and we always seem to be making one step forward and 3 steps back. So I think, personally, I believe that whichever candidate chooses a woman deputy will have an easier time. And of course, that choice, there are many other choices considerations other than gender. But if you combine whatever considerations with that of gender, I think that that presidential candidate, if strong enough, is likely to beat one who just shows up with a male counterpart.
Very interesting. Okay, let me pick 1 or 2 more. Carrington Mwendwa says, Waiguru came up with a slogan, you can't buy a Kikuyu, you can only rent one. With hindsight, what did you mean by that phrase?
Just that. Just that. If you have looked at the voting patterns of the people from Central Kenya, you will notice that even during campaigns and everything, we always tend to look like we are not very decided on one side or other. But when it comes to the last minute, we've been going entirely in that one different direction. Now, sometimes people imagine that you will just walk into the region and spend a little money, and then you will be able to move with the masses. But I think there is more to it than that. I don't think that people are easily bought in this part of the country. And anyone who even gets the support of Mount Kenya people cannot take it for granted. It cannot, you cannot say, because I have the support of Mount Kenya people, I have them now in the pocket, and therefore I can do whatever it is that I want to do with them. I think they are very unique people. They will support wholeheartedly. They will go in one direction. and you would have to keep your end of the bargain. And if you don't, then they would reconsider. That is the kind of people that we are. We are people who are, let me say, proud of ourselves and our culture, our background, and approaching us to win our hearts. There is a way you do it, but you cannot say that now they have been bought and they are in this basket and they can never move from wherever it is that they are.
I'm curious, who was that question intended for? What was the audience? Who was the audience of that particular statement?
Who was the audience?
Yes. Who was that question intended for?
It was a public...
The statement.
The naysayers who thought maybe that we wouldn't support one thing or other. We want to tell them that we will support. Even now when you talk to them, they will tell you they identify with a certain party because that party meets what they consider is their need. So it'll apply. So anyone who imagines, for example, that you have Mount Kenya or don't have Mount Kenya on one side, it can take something very small to get them to shift entirely on the side where they think that their interests are best taken care of. So the Mount Kenya people will move in the direction where they think their interests are taken care of. Let me summarize it that way.
Governor, we're going to have to wrap it up here. I did have more questions, but we are out of time, and so we're going to leave it here. Gates open tomorrow at the Waiguru Stadium, bright and early in the morning, we imagine?
Yes, gates open, and we are welcoming all those with cards to come. We wouldn't say welcome everybody because there are restrictions. Because of COVID-19, the numbers are restricted to below 3,000. But we are welcoming all those who have been invited from the county and outside to come and celebrate with us. Those who cannot be physically with us, we're asking you to follow virtually through the TV, enjoy, celebrate with us. And those who can come to Kirinyaga County, this is an opportunity to come drive around, shop, buy our rice, coffee, and enjoy the atmosphere. It's really, really exciting at this point in time in Kirinyaga, and we welcome you all who can make it to Kirinyaga, and happy Mashujaa Day in advance.
Thank you, Governor. I thought you were going to tell them that they can follow it exclusively on Citizen TV, but I'll take whatever I get. Thank you, Governor, for your time this evening and for speaking with Citizen TV. I know it's been a busy day, and we appreciate your indulgence this evening. Governor Anne Waiguru, host of tomorrow's Mashujaa Day, as the Governor of Kirinyaga County, speaking with us on Newsnight, and that's where we wrap this up. Thanks so much for staying tuned. I know tomorrow's a holiday, a chance to sleep in for some of you, so thank you to each of our viewers who've just taken time in Kenya and around the world to tune in to this particular broadcast. And we can keep engaging online. 22422 is our SMS line, and the hashtag is Newsnight. But on behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible, and of course our sign language interpreter this evening, Wilson Mushora, thank you so much for having tuned in. Happy Mashujaa Day. I'm still seeing some of your messages, many of you nominating people in your community who you consider as Shujaas this evening. Let's celebrate them as we work towards building Kenya and making it a better place. Have a good night. Stay safe. Remember, tomorrow from 8 a.m., Trevor Mbija live in this studio with a very distinguished panel, including PLO Lumumba, analyzing the state of the nation this Mashujaa Day. And then our coverage goes straight from the studio into Kirinyaga County, specifically the Waiguru Stadium, and we'll have all those updates for you, so you don't need to touch that dial. We'll see you soon. My name is Wahiga Mwaura. Have a good night.